Welcome to the Why podcast.
where we discuss mindful learning in the virtual space.
So happy to have our guest, special guest and elite educator, Shaun Bunn. Shaun Bunn, I'm going to get into it. You are an
Oh,
inspiration, period. We started
um,
this Elite X journey together, and Shaun, by any measure typically performed by a school system, you were already an incredible teacher in your field. But Elite X
thank
challenged us
you.
to go further, to look at the changing world and the attributes people would need to thrive, our 6 Cs. You were open about your reservations and shifting from teacher to facilitator, but you were equally brave and creative, and you soon became an example of the importance and effectiveness of our work. Today is a special episode for us. We're going to get into the significance of the why, and we can't think of a better person to do it with. We've had your name on the list for a long time, Shaun, and I think this is the perfect time of year. Teachers are feeling it right now, and this is a great time to have you on to get into the why.
We're really looking forward to listening to your incredible journey about the power of your why. So can you please tell us about your why, Shaun?
Why why do I become a teacher? I guess that would be like the common questions that many ask, even I ask myself from time to time, like, why do I do this? But why do we do this? Um, for me, I think it stemmed from being from not having the opportunity to learn, to go to school, to because I grew up and I was born in a war-torn country where I wasn't allowed to learn or given the opportunity due to financial reason. If you're poor, you don't have the money, then obviously school is not for you. It's not always free. I mean, people now, kids in America and us, we take advantage of the free opportunity and free education in America. But in Cambodia at the time, education wasn't free. So I always wanted to learn. I always thought that I remember my dad was a teacher. So I remember he was telling me that, knowledge, like if you are being robbed, he said, if you are being robbed and everything is stolen in your house, the one thing that the thief can never steal from you is your knowledge. So as long as you have knowledge, you can build that back up. And I remember that even when I was a child, I remember that. So I wanted to learn. And since I wasn't given the opportunity, I remember staring into the window at the school and just kind of like looking at it and trying to solve math problems, trying to understand vocabulary terms, not and then the teachers would just close the window because I didn't pay. So obviously I wasn't gonna get in, right? Um, Knowing that when I came to America and realizing that education was free, it's free, I jumped on it and I always said I want to be a teacher because I want to give the same love and the same knowledge that I wasn't provided for. And now that I have the opportunity to do so, I thought that teaching was just a calling for me. And becoming a teacher was one of the most incredible experience I have ever been through and still going through. You wake up in the morning knowing that you're going to change some lives, and that's important. Sometimes it's not what you teach, it's what you say can actually help your students and help change a person perspective, a young child's mind to see things in a different perspective. And I thought that that's is an incredible feelings to have, and that's the reason why I became a teacher.
I love
What
that,
otherwise?
Sean. I love what you said about what your dad said about education. Actually, my mother-in-law said that to me once. Your education is the one thing that nobody could take away from you ever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, if our students could grasp that and understand that, that would be pretty powerful. But here's a follow-up question for you. How do you reconnect with your why during periods of stress?
When the week is hard,
Yeah, it all piles up, for all of us.
Mhm.
How do you reconnect with, yeah, your why for teaching when things are stressful?
There are times, I mean, I would be lying if I say that there aren't times that, oh yeah, I love it so much, it's all rain and shiny rainbows and all that, but it's not. There are moments that you're just like, why am I doing this? What's the point, right? I'm not getting through to them. I'm not, whatever it may be. Why am I waking up? But I think when the stress comes around, you have to really pause and think about the ultimate rewards. As a matter of fact, I just connected with, that's just funny because I just reconnected with one of my old students, my former student back when I was teaching in brick and mortar. He is 26 years old now. He is a real estate, he become a realtor and he works with numbers. And then he found me through my email, my personal email, because it wasn't that hard, it was just Shaun Bunn, right? So then he emailed me. He said, "Hey, I don't know if this is your email, but I wanted to connect with you and let you know what's going on. And I am a realtor now. Your math really helped a lot because I could
Mhm.
calculate certain things about the financial aspect of mathematics into it. I used to love your class, but I hated the math because it was just I couldn't connect. That was what he said in the email. Like I couldn't connect. Why does that relate to the real life applications? Now that I'm using it daily, I keep hearing your voice telling me that you're going to need it one day. So yes, the stress happens. Yes, there are times that you give up, but moments like that, it keeps you going because it's not those big rewards where you get trophies, where you get acknowledged, but it's those tiny rewards that you receive from your students, especially your former ones that they made it and they still think of you. And that's the reward. That's the connection that I don't think that any other fields can have beside teachers. Maybe nurses, I don't know, but we're in a profession of a caring professions, and we touch lives on a daily basis, regardless of whether or not we know it and or we realize it. But when we do, it's those type of rewards that kind of got you to understand that, hey, this is powerful. This is real. Like I made a difference and that's something that I don't think anybody can take that away. So yeah, why do I continue to do it? Why is the stress doesn't bother me or doesn't make me give up? There were times, but at the same time the rewards comes in or I could just pick up like old notes or cards that I received from students in the past, or old emails that I received from students from the past, like the ones from Elite 3 years ago. I had a pretty bad day, and then I had a kid email me. I saved the email and I read it again. Thank you for being funny during our live session. Even though you're the only one that's laughing at your own joke, but I find it funny. Thank you so much for being there. And so it's, things like that that really helps me going and why we do this. That's why. That's why I do it.
What an incredible connection. Think about that. Like it's almost 10 years later and he doesn't have your contact info. He has to find it. And even though like it's just your name on the email still, like the effort, like the impact you had on
Yeah.
that young man, like that's incredible. And that's also a perfect segue into our next question. What do you do to connect your students with their why? You have a powerful why. How do you direct students towards their why?
Relating your personal experience, sharing your vulnerability with the students to make that human connection because nothing is more powerful than human connections. If the students don't trust you, you can't teach anything. They have to trust you. And in order for you to build that trust, for us to build that trust, you have to show some vulnerability. And I don't mean go and give, you know, like tell them your drama. It's more of like making that human connection that, hey, how's it going? I'm noticing you look kind of down. Are you okay? I'm here if you want to talk, and it takes time. And I do share some of my personal experience with my students, especially learning math. I always tell them that, I growing up, I wasn't like the brightest kid in class. Remember, I didn't learn how to read or write until I was 8 or 9. I didn't know how to hold a pencil until I was 9 years old. So many of you had a head start. You started in pre-K, probably 4 or 5, right? I didn't get to read. I didn't know my ABC until I was 9. So I was late, but I persevere and I know how difficult it is. And I know how hard it is for you to sometimes to connect those mathematical terms or work with what you're doing. But I promise you that I'm here and I'm gonna guide you and we're gonna take this one step at a time together. And if you fail, I fail. And I think by you saying that, by us saying that, that if you fell, I fell, it's almost like a group effort. It's almost like that
Mhm.
connection. So their why is most of the time it's like, why do I need to know this? Why do I need to do this? Because they don't see what we want them to see, future wise. But if we are able to connect that, hey, this is powerful because I want you to learn, but at the same time, you're learning because of for you, not because of me. I don't need to learn this anymore, but I struggle with you too because I used to struggle like you. And I think that connection helps ease the scary part of math.
Absolutely. I think so many students think they come in thinking, oh, I'm just not good at math. And they have this preconceived notion they're not a math person. But I love that you share your vulnerability and that you started late and you were able to do it. There's, holding those high expectations. I was able to do it. There's no reason you aren't able to do it. So that's
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And by sharing a part of yourself, you create a relationship. It's not just a like transactional teacher student, I'm teacher, you get knowledge, right? And you take the knowledge. It's we like you think of it in terms of we. Like we are
Mm,
working on this together and that makes overcoming those challenges that much more doable. And it also creates an avenue for them to look into themselves and find their why, it
right.
sounds like, right? Because they can
It's
learn from your journey to your why.
building that rapport is important before teaching can ever happen.
Uh,
I was thinking about the
So,
student that your former student, the realtor now, and that, when Nolan was saying that he intentionally like went to look for you and then checked if it was you, but you have to think how many times did he actually have that thought through his career? Like, I can do this because of what I learned from you. And so, he didn't actually, go to find you till years later, but that thought and that appreciation of the support and that you saw him as a student is very powerful.
yeah, that was very touching. I mean, to hear from some, I didn't want to was going to open the email because I thought it was spam. But then, it was like on the top, I think he wrote, "Mr. Bunn, don't delete. It's me, Dominic." Like on the
uh,
the subject
Oh,
line,
that's so
I'm like, Dominic, who's
uh,
Dominic? I mean, I had so many Dominics coming through
uh,
my career, so I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I
uh,
clicked on it, I read, I'm like, oh my God, I remember him.
uh,
Like, so that was very, and it just happened like last week. Yeah. So that was
Oh.
that's
pretty. I was like, whoa, you
uh,
reach out to me, and I wrote back like, hey, thank you, blah blah. And he was like, are you still in Menifee? I'm like, no, I moved to Long Beach already.
uh,
I'm living in Long Beach. He's still living in Menifee right now, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh,
uh,
okay, we gotta get together, and now we're
that's
we're
amazing.
buddies instead of teachers
Uh,
and students, right? I mean,
uh,
that's
so
Mhm.
that's
that's
awesome.
powerful.
interesting. That's funny.
It
It
is.
makes
I wonder how
me
many
think of
Sean Bunns he emailed. Sean Bun 123, Sean Bun 124.
Probably. Actually, I did did,
Like,
did a Google search on myself. There's
uh,
only one Sean Bunn, other
only
Sean Bunn,
one,
and he
one of
lives
a
in
kind.
he lives in
I-
Australia.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
Oh.
different.
Uh,
And so I'm like, okay, well, there's only two of us in this so far online, so that's good.
uh,
That's
Sorry,
awesome.
Morgan, you were saying,
Oh,
I
I was
interrupted,
gonna
sorry.
say, thinking about that student, it almost makes me think about like the meaning making part of the Mad Seas and how that's still going on for him 10 years later. Like that's amazing. Like he's realizing like, oh my gosh, this is so applicable to my life now because I
I'm
know
actually
my mom's a
using it.
realtor.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Mhm.
mom's a realtor. I remember when she took the real estate test and how math heavy it was and things,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to calculate all kinds of things in real estate.
Right.
So
And
that's amazing.
yeah, it is. He made my day. It was a good day, and I think that's
Yeah.
going back to the why. Why do we do it? Why?
Right.
What? Because it's the rewards that hardly anyone ever notice. I mean, if I don't have this conversation with you guys, nobody would ever know that this student, I still call him a child, even though he's a man now. This child still email me, right? Like letting me know that, hey, he made it. I was like, Mr. Bunn, I made it. I'm using what you taught me on my, on my job, and I just want to say thank you. You have been a great inspiration to me. Obviously, that was tearful and it was very rewarding. And I thought to myself, like, what am I going to do? Share it to the whole world? No, I'm not. But then now that I have this opportunity, you guys get to hear it. So
Yeah.
those are the things that we don't get to share often or to say often to other people when being a teacher, but we know that this is happening to us. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
you guys also have kids said, "Hey, you're my favorite teacher," and all that, right? So it's those small little rewards that really makes a difference, and that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
why I
It-
do
Glad-
what I do.
I'm glad we had a space to talk about Dominic's
yeah.
email here today. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Shaun, for being here today. It's been a pleasure. Um,
Thank you.
yeah,
Pleasure all
you're
mine.
you're always an inspiration to talk to.
Oh, thank you.
You
I
are.
appreciate you
Yeah.
guys so
So
much
many
for
of my
giving me.
Yeah.
students come through, and so there's like, who do you have for math? Oh, Mr. Bunn. So it's just their faces light up when they can tell me that
Oh.
you're their teacher.
That makes me happy. See, sometimes you don't often hear that, like unless you hear from other TOR.
Right.
The students usually don't tell you that
Yeah.
unless, the bold one will, but most of them they don't until the TR said, "Hey, just letting you know, so and so said he appreciate you or she appreciates you." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Sometimes you don't hear that, so that's kind
Right.
of it's nice, and I appreciate TOR a lot because they do a lot and and then you guys take the time to let us content teachers know that we're being appreciated.
Yeah.
That's really important because it
Yeah.
really lifts our spirits, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you.
And I love
Thank you,
how
Shaun.
Dominic like sought you out like after
Yeah.
10 years.
He did
That's even
10
that's
years
so
later.
special. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
he
That's
he
really
looked
special.
for me and I was like, dude, how did you get my email? He go, well, it wasn't difficult to find. It was just Shaun Bunn. Like literally, that's my personal email, just my first and last name. And
Yeah.
he just emailed me. I don't have social media. I don't have Twitters. I don't have
Oh,
any of that
wow.
stuff. Like I'm not on social media. So for him to find me, it was shocking. But then I realized that, oh, he just threw a curveball and it hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
So
Awesome. Bye, Shaun.
Bye,
Bye.
Sean. There's so many more stories because we had the privilege of going
Yeah.
through Elite X with him that we know
Yeah.
of. We know how he has a great influence on his students, how much his students appreciate them. But even that, going back to the why, and when you said, Morgan, that he's making meaning, but it's also metacognition going on all the time because that student or that kid or that adult now is
Right.
like thinking about his thinking like all the time
Yeah.
to get to that point.
True. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think too, like watching Shaun, like getting the opportunity to go through the fellowship together and watching from beginning to end, like he's like, this is going to be really hard in my setting, like my class. Like, I think ultimately what I take from this conversation though is the words opportunity,
Yep.
gratitude. Like,
Yeah.
there are incredibly stressful parts of
yes,
our job and our lives, and our students have incredible stressors that they face. But at the end of the day, we get to participate in something that we are so lucky to have in this
Yeah.
opportunity to learn and grow together. that really is like, it really is special, and it's something that it's easy to take that for granted that we have this opportunity. So I'd
And
really like Shaun putting that in perspective for us.
Mhm.
yeah, and he, like he said, it's all about connecting with students, and being vulnerable with students. And I mean, what better kind of contrasting story? Like, no, like none of us have a story that is so highly contrasted to like
Right.
the free education we get here in America. Like he has such a unique experience, in his own life that he is able to share with his students to really kind of like drive home how grateful, or I guess how much opportunity we have and how we should be grateful for that.
It really seems like he enters into a collaboration every time with his students. So I'm sure, creating student engagement, collaboration among the students as well, but he becomes a collaborator with them in their success. Okay, and we have one last question for you, and that is, what is your why? Thank you for watching.